Everyone knew who the real decision maker was. It wasn't the CTO, it wasn't the VP of product, it was Rohan, who had no title that matched his influence. He joined the company as a senior engineer. Within 6 months, he was in every strategy meeting, every investor call, and every founder dinner. Not because of his role, but because of his proximity. The org chart said one thing, and the reality said another. And the problem is, the founder didn't even realize that they created this. They thought they were just being accessible. Today, we are talking about one of the most silent, most damaging blind spots the founders carry, the hidden hierarchies, the unspoken power structures that erode trust, kills transparency, and make your best people quietly disengage and eventually leave. Let's get into it. Here's what happens in most startups. Founders, by nature, are relationship driven. You hire people you trust. You lean on people who get you. You have your go to people for sounding boards, for quick decisions, for reassurance. And slowly, without anyone saying it out loud, a shadow hierarchy forms. Certain people have the founder's ear. Certain people are always there in the room. Certain people know things before anyone else does. Now, I want to be very clear. This isn't always malicious. Most founders don't wake up thinking, let me create an inner circle and exclude everyone else. But the impact is the same. Because when access to the founder becomes the real currency of power, not performance, not contribution, not ideas, your culture shifts silently, dangerously. Decisions start being made in Slack DMs, in after office calls, in quick syncs that somehow never get documented. And everyone else, they're just told what's been decided. This is what I call proximity politics, and it's one of the fastest ways to destroy a transparent, high trust culture. Let me tell you about a company, a Series B startup, about 80 people. The founder, let's call him Ankit, was incredibly sharp. Great product, great mind, raised good money, had all the right instincts about the business. But Ankit had a blind spot. He had two people, just two, who had become his unofficial inner cabinet. One was a co founder's college friend, the other was an early employee who'd been there since day one. Neither of them had senior titles, but both of them had something more powerful: access. They'd know about layoffs before the HR head. They'd know about the pivots before the product team. They'd casually drop Ankit mentioned in conversations, and suddenly their opinions carried weight that didn't match their roles. What happened next? The actual leadership team started checking out. The VP of engineering told, I don't know what I'm leading anymore. Decisions I should be making are already made by the time they reach me. Within 8 months, three senior leaders left. Not because of money, not because of better offers, because they felt like outsiders in their own company. And the founder, he was genuinely surprised. He kept saying, I treat everyone equally. That's the tragedy. He believed it, but his actions told a different story altogether. Let me break down what hidden hierarchies actually cost you. First, you lose honest feedback. When people know that certain individuals have more influence than their role suggests, they stop pushing back. They start self censoring. The smartest people in your company go quiet. Not because they don't have ideas, but because they have learned those ideas don't matter unless they come from the right people. Second, you create a fear driven culture. People stop focusing on performance and start focusing on politics. How do I get closer to the founder becomes more important than how do I do my work best. Third, your best people leave. High performers are allergic to unfairness. They can smell it. And when they see that growth isn't about merit, it's about proximity, they don't fight. They just leave quietly. And you're left wondering why you can't retain talent. Fourth, decision quality drops. When the same two or three voices dominate every conversation, you lose diversity of thought. You get groupthink, dressed up as alignment. And that's a dangerous place for any startup to be. I'll share one more story. There was a startup, classic founder led, about 200 people. The founder was passionate, driven, very involved in everything. They brought in a culture consultant, and in their very first all hands, she noticed something. Every time someone raised a question, they'd look at one particular person. before answering, even if that person wasn't their manager. The consultant asked around. Turns out this person, let's call her Priya, had been the founder's first hire. She wasn't the HR head, she wasn't into operations. She was technically a business development person. But everyone knew if Priya disagreed with something, it wasn't happening. If Priya liked an idea, it got fast tracked. When the consultant brought this up with the founder, he got defensive and said, she's just very capable. People respect her. But the thing is, respect is earned. Respect earned through competence looks different from power given through proximity. And everyone in that company knew the difference. The founder eventually had to restructure the leadership layer and have honest conversations about decision making authority. It was uncomfortable, but it was necessary because the alternative was losing everyone who wasn't Priya. So, what's the fix? How do you dismantle hidden hierarchies before they destroy your culture? First, acknowledge that they exist. Most founders are in denial about this. Take an honest inventory. Ask yourself who knows about decisions before others? Who influences outcomes beyond their role? Who do I instinctively go to first? Second, build merit based system. Promotions, project assignments, visibility, tie them to clear documented criteria, not to who attended the offsite with you. Third, create feedback transparency. Make it safe for people to call out unfair influence. Run anonymous culture surveys. Ask specifically, do you feel decisions are made fairly here? Fourth, document decisions. If something gets decided in a quick chat, it needs to be shared with the relevant stakeholders immediately. No more decisions that live in founders' DMs. And finally, rotate the inner circle. If you need a sounding board, make it structured. Have different people in those conversations. Don't let access become a permanent advantage for a few. Hidden hierarchies are one of the hardest blind spots to see because founders are inside the system that they have created. But the truth is, your best people already see it. They just haven't told you yet. And by the time they would do this, they are usually telling this to you while handing on their resignation. If this episode made you reflect even a little, hit subscribe. Share this with a founder who needs to hear this. And if you're an HR leader dealing with this exact issue, drop a comment. I'd love to hear how you navigated it. I'm Richa and this is People and Growth, and I'll see you in the next one.